Hi, Jacob. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We just jumped off of Clubhouse talking about, new realtor marketing and mindset. And today's topic, we talked about choosing your audience. And today was an awesome session. And one of the things that stood out for me is often realtors, we talked about this really earlier on our sessions that we often think about, we don't really quite earlier in our game think about who is our target audience and the type of intention behind a lot of the efforts that we're going to be putting out, and particularly when it comes to lead gen and marketing. And because you don't want, and not only for tracking purposes, but you want to also tailor your content to these audiences. And, we talked about a number of things today, and some of the things that stood out to me is it's okay not to know it right up front, but it's important to identify an audience so that, again, you're tailoring your content, but it's okay, you're open to also learning other aspects of the business as well. For example, for me, my husband and I, we came into the real estate business with our license, wanting to get our license because we started investing in real estate prior to our license, and we wanted to primarily focus on being an investment realtors and particularly resale properties. But obviously things have changed as we got our license because now we started learning a lot more things about our business. And now my target audience is swaying and changing a little bit, right? And now that my husband has officially got his license and he's now my business partner, and things are slightly changing in the way that I'm doing work. How about you?
Yeah, I kind of was the opposite. I kind of did a lot more research in the beginning because I wanted to get a good, strong head start. And even some of the videos I was watching, learning from everybody, talk about some people were sellers and buyers, and I never had thought about that in the beginning. I thought you just took everybody that came, and some people do. They like working with both and making that a part of their business. But I knew right away after doing some research that I wanted to work with sellers just because of my marketing background. I like the idea of marketing a property, coming in and helping stage it and guiding the sellers through that process versus working with buyers, looking at multiple properties, putting in the offers, trying to figure out that even though I'm not going to turn anybody away because business is business, the commission checks spin the same way, but I know for my business it's going to mostly be sellers. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. And I think one thing you have to do is think about your strengths and weaknesses. If you're great on the marketing side, then you're going to be great with the seller's market. But if you're not so strong in that and you like the buyer side, taking the time to figure out what a buyer likes and finding that right properties, people love that. My mentor in the company, she is a buyer's agent. And she first wanted to start me with that just to learn what buyers want. And she uses that for when a seller approaches her and says, why should I choose you? She says, I mainly work with buyers, so I know exactly what they want. I know how to qualify them. I know how to look at them when they walk in the property. So you really have to go through and think about what your strengths and weaknesses are, but also don't come into the business and say, I'm only going to do this, because once you start doing the job, you're going to find out, oh, I didn't think about that, or actually, I really don't like that aspect of it. And so, and even right now, this, when you're coming in as a new agent, you're having to compete with experienced sellers, and it's really hard to get those listings. And you can bring up the marketing, you can bring all the reasons you stand out, but at the end of the day, depending on how the market's doing, they're going to want an experienced seller. So you have to utilize your brokerage and things like that, and then get some experience with buyers. So I think those are all important aspects of figuring out once you wanted to do it. And then we segued on to talking about like even specific groups of people. And you said that with investors, and now you're looking more at sellers. So what transitioned you from investor to seller?
Yeah, I think it's going back to your strengths and weaknesses and understanding that what are you good at, right? And for me, I think the reason I came into the business is so that I can start joint venturing with people and start helping close that transactions, but also, being really an expert in having understanding with numbers. Not even often it's an additional job opportunity, it's another additional opportunity to build your career. But I thought, my husband and I thought having access to our license will give us more information on the market information so that we're able to help investors when we joint venture with a knowledge holder, right? We wanted to attract people with capital so that we're able to buy. So that's what originally why we wanted to get our license, and things have changed once we joined our brokerage and we saw opportunities. And and once that I started putting together my marketing plan and business plan, and I talk about, people, we all think that, oh, everyone is our audience, but my primary audience is sellers, and investors and buyers are my secondary audience. But now, in the past couple of weeks, I've been working heavily with real estate agents to help with their branding. So, and now that my husband has come on, we had to revisit that marketing plan and our business plan a little bit, so that he's taking a lot of our clients and consumer end, and I've been working very closely with agents and to help with their branding and building my own team. So I think that, a number of things that even Shane Carvalho was our guest today. We were super excited, super happy that he joined us in, because of his years of experience. His insight was super, helpful and insightful for us. So he even added too is that I also wanted to mention, a lot of the time, when you become a realtor, I want to go into luxury, or I want to be a pre-con specialist. It's great that you brand yourself that way, but make sure that you're not alienating people or other people in your sphere, thinking that, oh, she's just a pre-con specialist, so I'm not going to call her. I don't even know what that is. So I love this fancy name that you're a luxury agent and you want to brand yourself that way. But that's great if that's exactly what you want to do. But if you are hopes into taking any business earlier in your career, just know exactly the type of brand that you're building, so that you don't want to become that NRAs, that number of 80% that don't make it, or 87% that don't quite make it, and I caution that, because, build a brand that is, that is inclusive enough, but also strategic enough that it's really on your content that you're providing rather than your name. Often people say, Tharmila Rajasingam, the luxury realtor. So less focus on the luxury and more focus on the realtor, and then the luxury part can come through in your content. Correct? Does that make sense? From a content strategy. But I think all in all, those are some any last words that you want to pipe in.
I think one last important point was another thing that Shane talked about was, when he started 20 years ago, he was after a different clientele. And now as years go in the business, you mature, you learn different aspects. Now, because of all the businesses you have and, over the years, you become successful and more money, then now he can relate to luxury real estate people. He couldn't before. And I think that that's a lot of times we forget about. We got to relate to our clients. And now it's not about you being this professional real estate agent. It's more about people want to, like he used the word, vibe with their clients, that they want a connection with you. So make sure you're utilizing your experiences and realize that when you enter real estate as a new agent, you're going to evolve as a realtor, and what you started out as your target audience is constantly going to be changing.
Absolutely.
And, one thing that we're focusing on as a team is going after also military people and veterans, because of the underwhelming use of the VA loan, and most of them don't understand that. So we're using an experience that we just went through buying a house to see how we can help other people, because nobody goes after them, and there's a lot of predatory stuff where they get manipulated into certain things. And so that's one of our kind of missions things, and that's just using our real life experience. So I think that's a very important aspect that he touched on.
That's beautiful. Right before we close this conversation, the one last thing I wanted to also mention is, I also caution people from changing your audience. If you started, if you're targeting sellers and in a couple of weeks into your business, you feel like you're not getting any traction, don't all of a sudden start doing things a little differently. If you're a luxury, then go ahead with that all in until you start seeing results. And I promise you will, if you put in the work. And I think that often we learn all these things, but we miss the part of, implementing the work and staying true to targeting. That's why business plans, business strategies work, is because they are really strategic based approaches, right? They're not just, oh, I'm just going to go in and put in flyers today, and tomorrow we'll see what happens, and it's really is a calculated move. And once you track your numbers, they will speak for itself. So I'll leave it at that. So if you guys have any questions as per our conversation today, feel free to leave it in the comment section. Myself and Jacob will jump in to help answer those questions. Please connect with us on our channels, on our social media. We have it in the link below in our description. And we also have a private Facebook group called New Realtor Marketing and Mindset that myself and Jacob run, where we provide tons of resources for new agents coming out into the field. So if you have any questions, of course, you can connect with us on a one-on-one private level where we can talk about how we can take your business to the next level. And our calendar link is in the description below. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night.